Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Planet Nerdtooine. I'm your host, Nerdtooine. Today, I will not be joined by my esteemed colleague, Year of the Collector, because he's off celebrating his wife's birthday. Unsanity Collective, happy birthday. A little upset you took my co-host, but I understand. But this is Planet Nerdtooine, where we talk all about comic books, reviews, breakdowns, everything you like, especially interviews like we will have today. Because let me introduce my esteemed guests, the ladies of 305 and Collectibles.
Hello, everybody.
Hey!
Hey, we made it.
So, first off, thank you all for joining me. We you know how close you ladies are to my heart. So to have you on my podcast means a lot. And not just because I like it, but I really respect what you guys do, because not a lot of people can do what you do. So in that vein, oh, stop it. We're just getting started, okay?
Well, you're like the little brother I didn't know I wanted.
So again, welcome to Planet Nerdtooine. We have a good time on this podcast. Let's start off with what is your nerd origin story? Like, what brought you into comics and all this nerd stuff?
Well, I'll start. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. Because basically, my origin is when I was a kid, just growing up, and my dad was a collector of sports. I'm a big sports fan. I played sports as well. Went to a comic shop a couple times and was interested in comics due to the fact that it's easy to read. I had problems growing up, reading comprehension, things like that. Not too bad, but at the same time, just getting my attention to read and read material that I like, I got into comics. My father bought me my first comic with an Archie, Turtles, Ninja Turtles. And that's basically, I got the interest of reading like the words of pizza and cowabunga and all that things. And just really entailed of getting into the love of the comics and actually going somewhere else for that time. And then when you get a little older and stuff like that, my collecting was got a little eccentric.
Now I can't even.
I can't even say it. Got a little bit more.
You broke us all.
Eccentric.
I know. I'm like,
eccentric. When I joined the military, so I'm just refocusing right after high school. I did do a year of college, and I went right into the military to sustain a livelihood that I needed. Also, the benefits that I had, and I had no idea 9/11 was going to happen at the time I joined. So I joined prior to that. And of course, my life changed, but of course, that means, I'm working a lot, full time, learning my military. And I had opportunity to get more engaged in comics due to the fact that I could buy them. Because when
you had
money, more money, because as a child, I said I had the comics and the Ninja Turtles and stuff, but of course that's not my money. It was my father, and
I bet you wish you still had those.
I worked
Those Ninja Turtle
I do
comics.
have them. You know this?
Oh, the first one.
Yes.
Oh yeah, those.
Anyway, that must be edited. So at that time,
Statement.
I still had them. So when I sustained. So when I'm in the military, I'm in Afghanistan, Iraq, I have something to do, I have money, I get to collect more things I did. So I just started collecting more. My household was really just my collection, and due to the fact before I was married or had any sense of a foundation, it was just motorcycles and comic books.
So you bought stuff while you were over there. Thank God for eBay.
Thank God for eBay. Shout out to eBay. I got to go many, many Comic Cons, especially, coming back to Miami after, I'm working or not deployed. I was able to go to MegaCon numerous of times, about a decade of MegaCon. So I was a big fan of comic books, the collectors, looking at all the, meeting all the stars and meeting artists and getting what I have now. I have a deep appreciation of it. I'm a collector. That's where I started. Fan, movies. It's just childhood is coming to reality at an adult, right? Now you're getting more aware of it, the media, and now collecting is a big standpoint. And knowing value and stuff, but it was not most of the value. It was about the internal reasoning why I want these books and why I want to read these books. So my expansion of comics goes from independent to Marvel, DC, you can name it. I understand stories, I've read stories and characters. Fast forwarding, now that I retired, my wife's like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? I said, I have a lot of stuff. Let's do actually. That's. I think that's everyone right out there.
I was gonna say
everybody
apparently
knows.
all relationships
Everybody
is
knows
one who's
this.
collecting and one who's like gotta sell it.
We are normal like everybody else. When you get married, you got a bunch of stuff. What are you gonna do with it? You have a love. You understand the business aspect. Just try it. So she gave me an idea, and I said, let's just do what I love: comics in Miami, 305. Because 305, of course, is my birthplace. Born and raised in Miami, and after my military and stuff, still living in Miami till this time, and of course, back and forth my life here.
It could
Another
be
reason comic books came in my life.
Well,
I had to entertain myself a lot.
That's
right.
That's also true.
If it's raining, I'm not outside because I was an outside child. I was inside reading my comics and playing with my cards and stuff. I'm a tomboy. That's how it happened. It's just how it was. Those are the things I was interested in, and I was an athlete. So it was just everything was entwining in my life to where I am now to have 305 comics and collectibles to where it needs to go and where it is.
Let's go back to the question. How did you become a nerd? Because that's all he asked.
Listen,
we're the biggest nerds. When you start, because collecting and becoming a nerd takes money. I know we could go to the bookstores and read and put them back in the market and stuff, but collecting is something different. You want to have it forever. It's something that you cherish because you read it, right? Yeah. So now when you're an adult, of course you want to value our things or integrate it in your life somehow. People put the man caves and your living rooms, wherever, your bathrooms. It doesn't matter where your collection goes. It's yours. So that's the nerd aspect of who cares? If you're a nerd, who cares?
I would not recommend keeping your collectibles in the bathroom, but anywhere else,
I'm
fine. Anywhere else, that's fine. Maybe not the kitchen either, but I feel like pretty much anywhere else will be great. But no, I understand how when I was a kid, it was either action figures or cartoons. That was it. I wouldn't read. I wouldn't do anything. And my family always thought I was a very intelligent kid, but like I was failing everything because I was not willing to put in any effort. So they found comic books. And then the rest was, as they say, history, because once I started reading those, I miraculously started doing better in school because I actually understood the questions because I could read. But I think a lot of us, at least in our generation, because I'm a little bit younger, but we're still in a similar generation where we grew up before internet and before all social media. We didn't have things like kids have now with all the streaming platforms. So they gave us stuff to read. And that's how I got in very young too with comic books. They were like, oh, look, he's there sitting there quiet. Okay, I think we found a winner here, folks. Like that was kind of how our generation learned how to read, and comics are such a great way to start reading, in my opinion, because there's so many different variations of stories and things you can learn. You learn right from wrong. You learn things that regular just textbooks or regular schooling won't teach you. It teaches you how to do the right thing, even when it's not the easiest. And I think that is something that a lot of people nowadays could take a few cues from, because we don't have a lot of people doing the right thing just because it's the right thing. It's what can I gain from it? What can what is the other end of the spectrum that I get from doing this good deed? Back in the day, someone was getting beat up, you just ran in and stopped it. You didn't think, oh, I'm going to get sued for pushing this guy off because he was trying to beat someone up. Back in the day, it was a little bit easier, but I digress, as we always do on this podcast. But Tina, what brought you into the world of nerddom?
It is nowhere near as detailed. Basically, it started with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the show, and I was addicted to the show. And then about halfway through, I realized or found out that it was actually also had a comic book. And so then I started to collect comic books just specifically for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I have, my collection started, from Buffy #1 all the way for a while.
So hard to remember.
But it expanded into not just the comics. It was the action figures. It was the calendars. It was the books. It was the novels. They would take the shows and then make them into like a book series or whatever.
Yeah.
So I would collect the books specifically for the characters that we play. So most of my covers are variant covers and include the, Sarah Michelle Gellar and David Boreanaz and stuff like that. So kind of went there. And then I just followed David anywhere and everywhere. So then I became a fan of Angel, and then I became a fan of Bones, and so yeah.
I mean, every once in a while, people would get upset about getting typecast, but sometimes it leads to a very, very substantial living when you get typecast as that character in a nerd show. Like, I feel bad for people like Elijah Wood sometimes, where it's like, no matter what he does, that's Frodo.
Right.
They can't see anything else. I mean, that says a lot more about society than it does him, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, yeah, true. But and it wasn't until Leanna and I got together and that I started seeing other comic books. I had stopped collecting there in my adulthood because I was a responsible adult with a responsible adult job and stuff. So I didn't have time for things like comics. I became a huge sort of vigilante fan. Fell in love with Ghost Rider and Punisher and things like that. I think Justice and
Ghost Rider.
Huge Ghost Rider fan. Anybody who knows me knows that. Everybody always asks when they come to our booth and they ask for Ghost Rider books. I always say no, because any Ghost Rider books they go out very quickly, right into my collection.
So the keeper.
I'm the keeper of Ghost Rider.
No, I'm very similar when it comes to.
Oh well,
yeah,
but that's not really. Is that well? We're talking comic books because that's kind of nerdy. But then we can get into the whole wrestling thing and start talking about Dwayne Johnson and take this a whole other place because then I could really nerd out. So
tell them about what your last nerd out was with the Buffy Vampire Slayer with David, so you can nerd him out right now. Your last nerd out you met
when I met David Boreanaz. Yeah, that didn't go the way I thought it was going to. So in my head, since I was like 13 or 14, I had always imagined what my life would be like when I met him, and we would fall madly in love and run away together. With, while he was, and it didn't happen like that because turns out I was married. So,
well, that doesn't always stop everybody.
And he's also married. However, I barely said 2 words to him. So that was wonderful. So all of these years of me, wanting to run away, I'm going to run away, but I can't even say any words. So he's like, you need to say something to him. And I don't know what to say. And he was like, oh, you're so cute. And I was like, oh my God, he called me cute.
The proper thing to say is, I love you.
Right? I know. It was the girl that was in line before us brought a gift, and I was like, this is the first time I've done the celebrity. It was the very first time I'd ever done the celebrity autographed, and I went full at it. I went photo, signature, engraving, say my name, the whole thing, and really went out on that. And I don't regret any second of it, except for the part when I literally couldn't say 2 words to him because I had no idea what to say. Yeah.
See, luckily for me, I don't have that problem. Whenever I meet the celebrities, I just turn it up a notch. Like when I went and met Andy Serkis, I walked up and did my Joker, my Smeagol voice to him as I handed him a picture of himself. So like, I don't have that. That's what you say. What I say, whatever you want. Like you just say it because you know what's gonna happen. He's gonna meet the next person, and he's gonna meet the next person,
exactly,
and the next person.
Yeah.
For you, it's gonna be. And this is a note to anyone watching this. If you're going to meet your celebrity love or whatever it is, say what you gotta say, because it'll be the memory that you have for the rest of your life. Trust me when I tell you, they're not gonna be. It's not gonna haunt them for the rest of their days if you don't say anything. Like if you have the chance to say what you want to say it.
And they love it. And they love it. You know, they know that they're there for the fans and they love it. And I just be you. Just don't worry about it. Just be you. Just take
And
that chance.
the
Say
good
hi. I
ones
love you. Who cares?
really the good ones really see who is like a true fan, not just someone coming up to get like an autograph to sell. Like they can see it, like they know. So if you're a real fan, walk up with confidence, be happy about meeting the people who you want to meet, and enjoy it because it will be probably
It was
about 2 minutes of your life, but it will be awesome.
Yes.
Don't hold back because if you hold back, you'll always wonder, what if I would have said this? What if I would have done that? And that's just not a way to live your life. Trust me,
No.
I've been there.
Thankfully, I don't have any regrets whatsoever of not saying something stupid. So more than likely, 90% of the time, I would have said something really embarrassing, or maybe I should have. Then he would remember me.
It's okay.
David, do you remember me? No, just kidding.
It's all right.
Everyone, we're gonna tag him 1,000,000 times.
Oh my god, that's embarrassing. No, because I think about that. I was like, oh my god, I've been in love with you since I was 14,
You could have.
and you're 47. Like what? That's a long time to be obsessed.
You got her
with
excited about David.
I know.
The heart wants what the heart wants, and it ain't going nowhere for the rest of your days. That's all there is to it.
Which is funny because
I'm not jealous. I'm just
but when it
moving.
comes when it comes to those type people, I mean, they like when I met the voice of Batman. Like for me, Kevin Conroy is someone that's been such a part of my fabric of who I am. Like just to be able to meet him and do my Joker voice for him, that was one of those. It was only about maybe 3 minutes, and it is probably one of the greatest 3 minutes of my life because I got to speak, I got to hear the Batman. Like the people don't understand. I think that's one thing. I will say that a lot of the signings and stuff are a lot more expensive than they should be. But
that's
the, the reason why they can get away with it is because nerds like us will go, I'm gonna pay it, screw it, because I need to meet this person, So it's a great business model, not one that I like as a fan. But
and David particularly hasn't been anywhere since C2E2 in like 2020 or something. So he doesn't make a lot of con appearances. So when I saw that he was going to be there, I said,
I think 22.
Yeah, something like that. But, either way, I wasn't at C2E2, so or San Diego.
I wasn't there.
He came down last year, and it was wonderful.
That was a lot of fun.
Yes,
it was like the first con I'd ever been to. I didn't have to work at.
It's weird, isn't it? Like
it's weird.
I know I haven't been doing it as long as you guys, which we'll get to on our next question. But anyone was like, hey, why don't you just go as a fan? I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, I've appeared at conventions. Like, I don't want to just go and be a fan again.
Well, especially now, Mr. Has a name for himself. Here walks Mr. Here Walks Monster.
Yet, but I mean, side note, 77% shipped out as of today. But
hell yeah, that's awesome.
In stores, Here Walks Monsters.
Hopefully more soon. But you as 305 Comics, you guys have been around for a while. When did you get into the comic book industry as retailers?
2021. So 2021, it was the year she retired from the Air Force. So she did 21 years in the Air Force, and like she was saying earlier, what am I going to do with all my free time? As a retiree and I said, well, why don't you just open that business? You keep saying, I've always wanted to own a comic book company. I've always wanted to sell comics. I've always wanted to, do this and that. And I was like, well, then here's your perfect opportunity. You already have a great collection to start with because you're ready to, letting other people enjoy those things so you can buy the new stuff that's coming out. So you're already sort of doing that. And I didn't realize that it was going to be something we ended up doing 5 years later, right. So it grew and it became something all on its own. And
Right.
but yeah, it brought us people like you though. So you know,
It
my
isn't
brother
all
from
bad.
another mother.
And of course, COVID during that time, and everybody was blowing up on the social media, and of course the online shopping networks that we did
Popped up.
popped up,
Yeah.
and whatnot, things like that. It's just that became the awareness and got us to get more familiarized with the people out there and the kinds of customers, and did not do too bad. And people loved the shows. We did thousands of shows. I've done almost 1,000 shows. Till after now COVID has settled down, we've got to go into the convention and events and show scene that I really, really enjoy, because of the personal matter of seeing the people and actually getting what the message, the 305 Comics and Collectibles will be about,
Yeah, I like
what we do, and just getting the awareness around Florida.
Yeah, I can do without all the hard work.
It's very
But
hard
I
work.
love the cons. Like I love
Yeah.
meeting people. I love like meeting up with the people you didn't see since last year, or meeting new friends that are in the booth next to you, or whatever.
It's like a family gathering.
It really is. It's like a little mini reunion every time you have a big con, and especially in the Miami area, we've become friends with a lot of other comic book and collectors, companies.
Broward, everywhere.
Right.
It's so yeah, it's kind of become our little secret home away from home. Like, you guys don't know what you're missing, but yeah, cons are hard, especially those 3 and 4 day ones, and those are hard. You know all about that now.
A lot of as a fan, I've been going to many kind of types of conventions as fans, and did all the lines and stood on for hours and stuff. And I know it's hard on the fans as well. And then being there, even before knowing the aspect of hard times, like it's physically and mentally draining on somebody to work very hard for 3 to 4 days, and especially the conventions that set up. It just takes a toll. But when you actually see the benefit of it, and when the people come in and you get to interact, it means a lot. It means a lot. That that your hard work really pays off, and say, hey, 305, or somebody just comes around and talks, or just wants to do some digging, or want to know what's happening in their stories. That's what we bring. Just a comfort level that you be yourself, chill. We're just here. I know we represent Miami. I love Miami so much. That's why it's 305. And it just represents like we're all the same. We are here.
Right.
No, so.
Believe me, I didn't start going to conventions until right after COVID. My first one was PalmCon in 2020, I think it was. It was right at the end, masks and everything. But I was like, I'm going. The stormtroopers were walking around. I remember literally saying, "This is the greatest day of my life." There was just stormtroopers just walking around the convention. I'm like, what is going on here? And I went from a fan, and then I helped a couple different booths out at MegaCon a few years back, and then to go onto the other side of the table now as a creator. It's a really different experience, obviously, as a buyer versus a creator. But it's more deep than just the obvious changes, because when you're in the booth, you are working the entire day. It's not like you have, when you're as a fan, you're strolling, looking at everything, and then you're looking through a couple things and moving to the next one. No, you're locked in. And you have to stay and do your job. Whether it's selling comics or signing comics or doing artwork, it's very rewarding, but taxing. So we read a lot of comics, and while comics is getting more and more diverse every year, and whether it's from the creator side or the actual market base that they're selling to, it still really is more of a man world. A lot of people at least think that way. Can you go into a little bit of detail on how that's been with 2 very strong women coming into what a lot of men would be worried about? Women coming into our spaces.
Right.
What have been the difficulties you have seen getting into this industry that a lot of hard-headed males would try to gatekeep to make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, it's not the male persona of doing something that you really love to do and just doing it and making, not knowing that being a girl or boy is just, it's just how you pursue your business and what you're trying to get to. It is the hard work and dedication. And like I said, when it comes to COVID and the social media aspect and the platforms, that online platforms that we're on, was that capability of people just recognizing, yes, there's two women or a woman talking about comics, but that just came normal as just being us. It's nothing to do with man versus woman in my perspective, because I'm very, diverse in many ways. So it's just, I just took it as, I just want to do my best in my company and make it to where I could be and something different to provide everybody, like, wow, there could be a difference. And that's all we represent, and just being just a company and just doing the hard work and effort to bring it to where it needs to be for us.
No, I definitely don't think it. They're especially we're in 2025. If you're trying to gatekeep because of a someone's sex, then you're the problem. Period.
Well,
I just want I want that to be said. I mean, there should be anything. It should be based off of your merit, whether you're going to be there or not. And I don't think that I do feel, at least from my end, what I see, especially when it comes to a lot of the Marvel content, if it's a female-led show, it's just horrible from the get-go for a good chunk of the fan base, because it's not them they're seeing on the screen. And me and Year, we talk about this all the time on the podcast, how we predicted that. I was literally said, I can't wait for them to try to figure out a way to complain about Ironheart, because Ryan Coogler is the absolute man. If he's doing it, it's going to be a good show. And I can't wait to see this before the release.
Still found a reason.
And they did, exactly. And Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave. He doesn't need his money. Riri only cares about money. Obviously, none of y'all ever been poor. Obviously,
right.
None of y'all watched Iron Man 1. That box of scraps included millions and millions of dollars of Stark tech.
Exactly.
Just saying.
His
His Mark 1 was a piece of crap compared to what she did with a freaking car. So I don't want to hear it anymore. That argument is fucking dead. Okay?
Yeah, it'll always be an argument, but
I feel like I'm glad to see, like, at least to some extent, there are a lot more women creators now. There are a lot more women reading comics now. And I feel like we talk about all the time how diverse comics are and how malleable of a storytelling element it is. You can tell any story in a comic book. There's always going to be a comic for any type of person. And to say, oh, this person shouldn't be here or that person shouldn't be here, that's not a comic book. You're just wrong. You're just a hater just for the fact of being a hater. And that's not something that we put up with on Planet Nerdtooine. Simple as that.
It's just something.
If it's good, it's good.
That's right. That's just people. That's what they think. That's their life's mission, is to, crap on everybody else's streams and it makes them feel better. But no, I think Leanna's experience in the military has sort of prepared her for a male-dominated environment. Working in a male-dominated environment and succeeding in a male-dominated environment. So the way she approaches it is a little different than I would approach it, because I'm a civilian. I'm a hippie feminist or whatever you want to, whatever. So I could go on and on about this question, but she's not a fan of this question, because she doesn't want, because acknowledging that there's an issue is kind of like feeding into the narrative, right? So
that is true, and then we actually tend to do that on purpose, because me and Year are very happy to battle trolls all day in the comments. That works for the algorithm. You want to come comment hate speech on ours? Bring it on, ladies and gents, because you ain't gonna beat us. Okay, that's just that simple. So that question was divisive on purpose.
If you really explain the dominant role of females to males, like she said, I worked in a predominant male worlds, the military, aircraft maintenance, were infested. And then the way I am and the way I brought up, I guess I just just know how to adapt. And know that if I do a good job and showing them that you're loyal and ethics and all that stuff, you work your way to a respectable level
Right.
in whatever you could do, male, female, it doesn't matter. So as I come across people and I've met numerous type of people around the world, all different shapes and sizes, and we're all the same, and we just want to live a good life. And it just helps me to understand people's mentality or well-being. And you're right. Sometimes people are just not sourcefully correct, meaning they don't do their research or know what's coming up. They just feel what they feel internally or assumptions and don't do the diligence to actually get to know. You know what I mean?
No,
So
absolutely.
get to know someone.
That's
Yes.
probably the reason why, like me and Year, we don't have those kind of thoughts, because all we do is research and read comics and see the diverse storytelling, the diverse
Yes.
type of not just storytelling, but the creators themselves. I mean, there are creators from all over the world now working
Yes.
together to create comic books. Like I have an Exquisite Corpses exclusive with an Italian artist. I've never met this guy in person, but I've spoken to him, and he's an amazing talented artist, and he's all the way over in Italy. So especially now, and that's why I brought up 2025 now, because we're so connected. We can work with people all over the world and all different types of backgrounds and cultures at the same time from the comfort of your own home. And like hell, my artist lives in Canada. I've met him once. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's one of those things that I don't think enough people are exposed to it, and I think that's part of the problem, is that they just only know one thing, and until they experience the grand gloriousness that is the rest of society, it's just going to be the same old crap. But
I think when we first got into it, I mean, the industry was exploding, right?
Yeah.
COVID, the industry just exploded, and it was pretty much everybody and anybody, and a free for all sort of. Everybody's making a company. Everybody's gonna make this work. Everybody's gonna work. So I don't know that there was a whole lot of male female sort of pushback. Like we didn't get a whole lot of that. When we joined the different sales platforms, we didn't get the, oh, you're a girl, we're not gonna come to your show because you're females or anything. You don't know what you're talking about. I think Leanna and I made it very, very clear from the very beginning that one, I was still learning, this world. She was very well educated in this world. So, my passion is art. So of course I love it for the artistic aspects versus, cultural and reading and all the different reasons that she likes it. But I think the only time I've ever really, and I do believe it was you, that was there, was the one, I think it was our first con that we met you, and we did Super Fan Con, right?
No, he was at Florida.
Yep.
Was it Fan Con? No, it's Florida Supercon.
I would get those two confused. Sorry.
There we go.
That's the one we're gonna do.
But is when you have people come up and they're like, could I speak to the owner of the company? And you're like,
it's them.
oh, you are. Thank you. Hi, nice to meet you. Or they'll just look past you to the guy, which happened to have been you at the time, standing all the way in the back, not even looking at the customers, and they're like, excuse me, sir, can we talk about prices? And Leanna and I are both standing up front next to the register on the other side, and they still looked past us to see the short guy in the back.
How they saw the short guy in the back, I don't even know.
But see, so
it's assumptions. It's okay. In my matter, you just redirect them, like boom, and then you learn, then they understand. You just don't. They don't know. They only see what they see, or they see if other conventions, male dominant as well, and they see the type, so they're just approaching to what they already know.
And I do have to say that, the women that came before us, there's some pretty high profile females in the comic book industry that some people really like and respect, and some people really hate and, do not You
Right.
just don't, So, but I don't know that that's necessarily a gender thing. That could be just a personality thing. It could, not everybody, not all females are the same, not all males are the same. It's just
who gets at the right business at the right time. And then sometimes when it comes to a part, like after COVID, a lot of people are being seen that, oh my gosh, they're girls, how they get there. And people just hate, but they don't take the time to actually dig down and understand that some people got there first. And they're just branching out because that's their business. That's how they have to make, put food on the table. But they got there first. And if they hate, is a matter of fact that they didn't put the time and effort into it. So now all they want to do is hate. And they put their effort into the person. And that's what I don't understand. I know being the way I am, it's just, why put your effort into something you hate, into something that you could love and actually go beyond? And
So
it just
I have a theory on that. I think it's because they secretly enjoy it so much but can't explain why. So their only natural recourse is to either deflect or lash out. And because especially with a lot of the newer stuff that I try, even if I don't agree with it, a lot of times if someone critiques something, even if I like, I go, okay, I can see where you're coming from that. Like that makes sense. I don't think that personally. Because like a lot of people, like were Last of Us season 2, for instance, they were like, "Oh, it's so much worse than season 1." I'm like, "Well, it's just different. It's not the same type of story. You're not learning the world. They put you into real actual drama. So you're expecting this zombie fungus show, and you get heartfelt moments, and people are like, "Oh, that's not as good as season 1." Well, I mean, again, if you want to talk about quality, I'd argue that it's better than season 1. It may not be as entertaining, but
when you're watching but when you're watching your escapist fantasy stuff, you don't want to hear about reality. You don't want to hear about the real, drama of life, right? You want to live in your zombie world, and
that's what we have comics, and that's what we read. We go into these realities so we could get away from all that stress. Not to be stressed while we're reading.
I think that being a female in the industry, there is a potential for backlash, confrontation. I'm not going to say we get along with everybody in the industry because we don't know everybody in the industry. Right. So we can't say that, but we also don't participate in whatever, we stay out of that sort of stuff. And then, and Leanna is very good with, this is my business. This is what I love. This is what I'm going to do. And this is what I'm doing. And if you have a problem with, whether I'm male or female, then clearly I don't want you to buy my stuff. So it's
something policy.
If you do, we don't just, so she runs it very much like
it's regular.
We're regular people. We treat you like people. You treat us like people. Period.
And I know a lot of comic book businesses have brick and mortars, and I know 305 Comics and Collectibles don't have a brick and mortar because the way that we came about, from the online platforms to where we are now is that we got to do things during the week and stuff like that, like normal people. But my time to shine is my stores when I come to these beautiful conventions where everybody could come. That's why I feel the success knowing that going into these high profile conventions, being seen, being known, having what we have, the guests, the comic book, as well as writers as you will come in to show that we are diverse. We are a lot of things. And I know a lot of people get confused of, oh, you're just not comics. Like, no, we are comics and collectibles. We just do more, We're authorized dealers. We do, we have Tina Michelle, the artist who have done, with you has put her art into, Here Walks Monsters and other publishers. So it's just a well-diverse company that I'm just ecstatic about, and just wanting to know that people could do a lot of things within one nostalgic. No, it's not the word. No. Nostalgic.
Nostalgia.
I said nostalgic. I'm a nerd. just being diverse, like, oh, you guys do this, yes, just being known in community that if you have something that you do, if you just read a book, maybe we'll point you in the right direction. Want to read a different type of comic, we'll point you in the right direction. Art, put you in the right direction. We just want to be that person you could ask questions to and know that we will be sourceful in that answer of where you want to go.
I see where you're okay. She was taking me on a little trip and I didn't know where we were going, but I have caught up with her and we are on the same trail now.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you need Leanna subtitles. I'll send you a transcript of what she's really saying. Then you can put the words on the bottom.
That would be so funny. For the record,
right?
That'd be the funniest episode of all time.
This is what she's saying. Wah, 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 wah. And then we've got the subtitles on the bottom. She's like, just yeah. So
good. Go ahead.
I don't know where we were going with that. I was just making fun of you.
No, the whole aspect of it.
Yeah, I said I understood.
I know it's part-time.
There are a lot of businesses, a lot of companies, a lot of sellers out there that, and not con artists, but convention people out there who are there. They're there to do a job. They're there to sell these books because they want to make the money. They want to offload this crap they've been carrying around. What I like about us is that if you don't know, we want you to ask us, because at one point I didn't know anything. I learned from her. I learned from asking other people. I learned from, doing research or whatever. And we can go back to the female male situation. We've had a lot of young girls come to our booth specifically because we're two females running this booth, and where they feel free to ask different questions. What is grading? What's the purpose of grading? And what female comic book character would I identify with? I want to read comics, but I don't know who I would like. Well, Leanna ask you a few questions, like a little mind reader, and she'll be like, you love She-Hulk, and then all of a sudden and we've had this happen and we've had them come back like the next year and like, oh my gosh, last year I bought this book from you, and Spider-Gwen or whatever, because you said you asked these questions and figured this out, and then they're dressed up, they're cosplaying as Spider-Gwen, they're there getting her signature or whatever it is, taking pictures, and come back to your booth and be like, last year I was this, and then you taught me all these things, and now I have all these books, and I started reading so and so also because it led into that, and now they've become this huge admirer and lover of comics because we took a minute to entertain the question. And it's not necessarily guys versus girls, because we've had young men come to our booth as well. People, just all kinds of people. So if you're looking for something and you don't feel you not everybody that you're buying from is warm and welcoming. They're there for a job. They're tired. They've been there for 3 days, 12 hours. They're over it, But what I like about our company is that no matter how tired we are, it's still something we absolutely love, and we love to share with other people, and start your next great addiction or whatever, which happens to be comic books or whatever, and that's what I always tell everybody. I'm like, are you ready though? Right. Yeah, I want to start reading comics, but are you ready? Because are you ready to start reading comics? Because it's not, it's not a one-time thing. It's something that you could very easily stumble into a whole world of all kinds of stuff. And it can get confusing. So where do you go with the people who talk, and they can come back to us and be like, so I was reading this, or I heard about that, or whatever.
And that's how the word of mouth goes. And then they start following you. They start seeing the social media or websites, or they see on the convention list we're there. It's just all, it will always continue.
I like how they just come back. I don't even care if you come back and be like, and buy something. I don't care if you need to sit down. Leanna's always doing it. She's like, do you need to sit down? Do you need to rest? Right. Do you need any place to sit for 5 minutes because it's crowded or whatever? And so she's very like, she just wants to help everyone, and have everybody come in and join the 10 by 10 10 by 10 booth family, which can get quite, as you know, get quite crowded very quickly.
Or every once in a while, you just get attacked by random flying slabs off the walls, stuff like that. But it definitely seems like, to anyone who doesn't know, the 305 Comics is kind of like your sorting hat. If you don't know what you want to do, you walk up. Leanne does her little mind meld on you, and you have now been sorted into the ranks of She-Hulk. Or
exactly.
With a few questions with the right person, you can find out. You can go, I know exactly what you're going to be into. Come check this book out. Tina, you before you got into doing cover art for exclusives and all the awesome work you've done for Here Walks Monsters, you were an accomplished writer and have published many books at this point. And I just want to know what really got you into diving into the world of comic book covers and maybe interiors one of these days. I'm not going to let you live that down, by the way.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You will.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah, so I kind of, when I say fell into this world, I literally just fell into this world. So yes, I have written a few novels. So I write lesbian fiction. If nobody knows what that is, it's basically smut romance novels for the same-sex loving ladies. So think Harlequin, but two girls. So romance, modern. I write my stuff is mostly contemporary things. It has a lot to do with art. So I went to college and I got my bachelor's degree in fine art and creative writing. So I got a dual bachelor's degree. So writing was never something that was on my list of things to do, like going through high school or anything. I was very much a band geek, and I was in the marching band, and I wanted to be the drum major and stuff. And it wasn't until after that I kind of was like, I started reading these novels, and then I was like, well, maybe I could write one. And then so I kind of tried, and it just fell into that. And that evolved into my love of art and my love of writing kind of intersecting. And I started to design fiction novel, freelance novel covers for other authors. So being in the industry, making other author friends, and we have cons in the lesbian book world as well.
Right.
So it was easy to kind of follow that. My love of art, the specific job I was doing in graphic design for the company I worked for, plus being a writer, I could see where the author specifically was going with their book and kind of work with them to create the cover. Right. And then when we started to get into comic books and I started to learn more about comics and more about the characters and more about the art and the artists and everybody who's done, covers, penciling, inking, the right. Interiors, everything. It never really crossed my path until I said, what can I do that I can take the fiction world, how covers are created, how covers look on books, and take that into the comic world where you're still telling a fantasy sort of or story,
right,
visually, but with real photographs, like they do with books or whatever, and kind of play around with that. And that's how I sort of got into that photo manipulation with one of my first covers, because I use a mixture of, hand drawing plus digital photo manipulation, and then sort of merging 8, 9, 10 different images together to create, one cover or whatever. So yeah, it was just kind of like a what if, or I wonder if if it relates or if it could cross over, and it has more times than I thought it would, honestly. So I can't say that
the children that you didn't get it's how dare they just to throw that out there. That thing was fire. I'm sorry.
I can't say that I like everybody's art either. So hey,
Right,
art
no,
is definitely a preference thing. So I can't blame anybody for not being 100% on my. But it was an idea, and like all artists or all creators, we get an idea and we want to see if that idea is going to work. So you're only going to know that if you try it. So,
yes.
I tried it. It worked for that one, and then and then it worked for this one, and then it worked for yours, and it just kind of went on from there. And yes, I think I'm on 6 published covers now for comics specifically. And
Awesome.
the other world I've done I don't know.
I've lost count.
Well, no, I didn't mean it like that, but because like, do I count my own books or do I just count other clients? Like, how do you count? Do I count? I didn't pay myself to do my own book covers,
No, but you save money about hiring someone, so that is still, in my opinion, that's still a published paid work, because whether you didn't pay someone else to do it, you did it yourself. So you paid with your time.
Yeah, I can see that.
So at least that's how I look at it. I believe me, I wish I could do.
I
What
like
you do.
that.
When it comes to like, I have a couple different people who are talking about doing exclusives for Here Walks Monsters, and I'm just like, I really wish I could draw it, because I would just greenlight it right now and get to work. Like it's versus like, I can't use Martin right now because he's too busy doing the other assignments that I need him to get done as soon as humanly possible. So I'm not even going to touch that. And and luckily some of the people I'm working with, they had artists in mind already, so they just really need me to say, that's good, we can go ahead. So it's a different experience when, like, for instance, if you decide to write a comic book one day, you could potentially do the entire comic book. You could do the cover, you could do the interior, whether you believe it or not. You may, I mean, you have probably never done lettering, but I'm sure you could do lettering as well, because it's really just something on the computer that you just have to get used to. I mean, not for nothing, you've colored an official MegaCon cover. Excuse me, I said color too many times. But
color.
You colored the color. That was absolutely fire, by the way.
But I just colored it. And now this is where we start. This is the part we start the self-deprecation, and I start to talk bad about myself.
And I won't have it, because I'm the same way, and I know exactly what you're doing.
I know, and you're gonna be like, "That's just cut. We're cutting this out."
Trust me. Oh no, we're keeping this in, because I'm gonna you can keep watching this. You go back to it like, yep, he got me right there. Damn son of a.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to creating, and I think, and I like how you said that the art and the writing kind of just came together, and I think that happens a lot in creating, not just for novels but also for comic books. Like, you can come up with ideas all the live long day and write a great story, but if that art doesn't match it or doesn't blend the story you're trying to tell, it's going to be very flat. And the better you understand the story as the artist, the better you can draw it, in my opinion. Like, especially with me, like with me and Martin, like, he knows I literally will tell him, I'll send him like paragraphs and paragraphs of what I'm planning and go,
oh, I know.
Okay, you see this, and then I'll write the script for you, so you know what I'm saying when I write this stuff in the script. And he's like, okay. And it's when you get into the nitty-gritty of trying to create something out of nothing, and you're writing novels, and even creating in a cover, it just, to be able to create on such a high level, it's kind of astounding what we can do. And I don't want you to forget that, because I know you, like me, can't take a compliment to save your life, because I can't either. But as someone who has that same issue, I assure you, your work stands up, and we definitely need to get you in on more covers, even if it's not Here Walks Monsters. I mean, I would love to have you as all to my own, but your talent deserves to be spread around. That sounded a little.
Well, I love the oh, look, she's back. I do. Dogs. So
Okay.
Yeah, comic books. So the one thing that I noticed that is also different from the art that I create versus the art in the industry, the standard comic book covers is that, and this is in no way saying anything, because some of my absolute favorite artists do this, and it's not story specific, it's character specific. Maybe they have a little bit of the background that kind of goes with the story or the theme or the energy or whatever you're trying to portray inside the book. But a lot of times you get covers and variants which is just beautiful art that this book is about X-Men, but you have this gorgeous picture painting or book cover of Rogue, right? David Nakayama, one of my absolute favorites, he does this. He draws these gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous characters that aren't necessarily, and not that they have to be, necessarily part or in line with the story or that particular part of the storyline. And that's one of the things that's different, is that I approach it like I'm approaching a novel. You want those readers to see that cover. Don't judge a book by its cover is garbage. Everybody judges the book by the cover. So so don't judge a book by its covers, because you're trying to remind people not to do it, because it's something we do and we will always do. Yes. So what I do is I get to do the story. What's happening in this book? What's happening in these 20 pages? Let's put that into an image that kind of leads you into the story, or sort of puts the story into a single point of view or a perspective or whatever it is. So that's kind of how I sort of think going into the comics, because I ask you tons of questions like, what's happening, who's this, have we introduced this person, what are they driving, what color, it doesn't mean that it's going to go on there, but it's getting me into the story so that I could create something that has something to do with what you're trying, the story you're trying to tell.
That Supercon cover, that is technically the debut of issue 1. So like if Herewalk Monsters ever gets to such a high level where they start making trivia questions, do you know where Herewalk Monsters got its start? Technically, the first issue was at Supercon in 2024. That is still to this day one of my favorite covers. That especially the foil, oh my god, so beautiful.
That cover was fun because I struggled with that one a little bit. Yeah. That I was like, there was a certain look we were going for, and I was like, I cannot find, like I said, I use photographs, I use real life imagery and things like that. And if I don't have it, I need to create it. So I don't know if you've told the story about that cover, or
I haven't. Definitely get into it.
So you haven't told anybody. So
I've told a few random people, but it's not known knowledge. But
okay,
we can blow it up right here and now if we want to.
Well, so I do photo manipulation. So your characters are very specific, right? They're very detailed. They're very customized. And it's not something that you can just go onto the internet and be like, click, 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 click. I need a sword zombie hunting, guy with a beard and the bandana and the whole whatever. You can't just Google that. I mean, and I am not. I would say I am anti-AI art.
Very much.
So we'll just put it that way. So basically, it's not art. If I have to go in there and decide, here's a picture, whatever. You could do that. Not saying that,
right?
It's
no,
not,
I
but it's not. It's not custom.
The
it's
AI
not art.
is not something you created. It's something that was taken from multiple different creations and then made into something new, without your effort.
Right.
That's a computer's effort.
Yeah. So so then that's kind of where I was running into with that cover, because I knew I had this look and I knew what I wanted it to look like, but you can't find imagery of what I was looking for. So I texted you and I said, Kyle, send me a bunch of pictures of yourself wearing a bandana with your hair like this, and then and that's where that cover came from. So you are my photo model for that cover. So anybody, little more trivia for you. Yeah, so Mr. Goodman is the cover model for that Here Walks Monsters book. So,
and I'm surprised it came out so good because I am so horrible looking. So I the fact that it was as stunning as it was, she had to get past my ugliness to make that happen. So
I
that
put a
shows
bunch of
how
stuff
much.
on your face. So
See?
goggles and
Like I said, you had to get past it some way, didn't you?
oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
But
So,
no,
yeah.
the main the cover sheet we're talking about is the Supercon 2024. It was the first time I
Can you
published
do
issue
one of those?
one.
Can you do one of those things where you like point like this is the cover or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, I actually can. So this right here, if I can figure out which way to point.
Yeah,
This
right.
way. But the cover we're talking about, we'll superimpose it on the screen.
There you
Is
go.
a red cover, and it has the main character in his mask and goggles that we see for the first time at the end of issue one. That was not seen in the ash can. So we wanted to make something that not only was a great cover, but it had a reason to be that cover. So
Right.
so when we spoke about everything that was going on in the book, then I told you about the mask, and that's what I wanted because it was something that like I came up with, and I was like, oh, this is good. And I was like, let's make that the cover. And you absolutely knocked that out the park. And I think I have one foil left. That was the fastest selling cover. And that was because I literally took one out and was like, this is mine. And I'm not doing nothing with it. I don't even think it's signed. Like, and I'm the writer. I literally hit it in the back of my long box. Like, this, you stay right over here.
Yeah, right.
But that, out of all the covers, that was by far.
I think the only one I have is the graded one that you and I signed, and then we got like a 9.9 on it. I was like, holy crap!
No, and I actually, because I doing the Kickstarter rewards, one of the options that I had was to get a cover A from the first print, and then a copy of that double signed. Well, I had messed up and thought no one ordered one, so luckily I did have one still that was double signed because I brought all of those to MegaCon and we sold those quick because those were beautiful. And thank God I had one left because I was gonna be like, listen, I can give you a MegaCon one, like reach out to them. But luckily I did have one for them. So when I took it out and I'm looking at them like, damn, that thing is still fire. Like that is still one of my favorite covers. And I like how we didn't just do a zombie cover just for the sake of doing a zombie cover. We did something for the book. And I think, like you said, I think that your approach to covers is part of the reason why I'm always so enthralled with your covers, because that's what I want. Like, I don't want, like, even though, and I agree with you. I mean, sometimes who gives a shit? The cover is just so good that it can just be a random character. We're not saying you can't do that. But I know, especially, and you brought up a great point too, where people say, oh, don't judge a book by its cover. Unfortunately, that is just about people. Okay. That's not about an actual book, because in 9 times out of 10, if that cover is not fire, you're not even going to look at it twice or pick it up.
Yep.
So to say don't judge it, maybe not. But if you're subconsciously, at least, you're judging going, ooh, that looks nice. And then you pick it up and then you determine if you want to get it. So I agree with you. When you're doing a cover for a comic, I think that you should always at least strive to have, if nothing else, the A cover be something in that has to tie in with the book. Like that is what that issue is doing. And it doesn't always happen like that. I'll even admit my A cover for the first print was supposed to be that type of cover, but Martin did another cover, the red zombie head cover, that we agreed was just so eye-catching that it had to be the cover A. So we moved it as cover B because I was not letting that cover go. That cover was amazing, and it had Shadim and Karen on the cover, pretty much exactly like they were at the end, towards the end of the issue. So I really did. That's like what that was supposed to be A for sure. We're like, that's cover A. Let's do this. And then he did that red skull. I was like, oh no. That's cover A. That's cover A. If I didn't know anything about the comic, I'd see that and go, the hell is that? And want to grab it. So there's always different aspects of these of creating comics and covers and what appeals to different people. You know, it's you can't please everyone. So if you please yourself, not
Yeah.
inappropriately, everyone,
Okay.
you can be proud of what you create. I think you've done your job. And I'm really looking forward to hopefully working with you in the future. I got some things in the works.
I'm sure you do.
As we spoke about prior to the show, like everyone talks about on the podcast, as you were talking before with the show, we've got some great things
We
working.
had an entire conversation without you before this, and then that you would love to know, but we're not going to tell you because.
You got to pay extra for that kind of action, love.
Right?
Here's my Patreon.
When you have some conventions, you're not only doing, you know, comic book stuff. You have awesome people joining the booth. Like when we were at Supercon, you had all the Star Wars people there, doing, you know, taking pictures and doing signings. And I think that is also one thing that sets you guys apart from the run of the mill comic shop, because for the most part, if they have a booth at a comic show, there's 4 artists and they're locked in the chair doing remarks and signatures from the start of the convention till after the convention ends, because that's just what they do. When you look at a 305 booth, in most cases, you have not only that, but you also have some Star Wars characters. You have people that appeared in the MCU, people that are just awesome people that have been in properties. And I think people see that and go, man, I wish we could do stuff like that. I mean, I definitely think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to follow your model, whether they will admit it or not.
Yeah.
But so when you have when you talk about getting into a convention, what goes into the back end of it? Like, how do you get to the point where you're going to these conventions and setting up? Like, how do you make those connections to be able to continuously get for instance, like MegaCon, SuperCon? Like, you kind of made these conventions kind of like your second home, and it wasn't like that happened overnight. You had to build a wealth of connections to make that happen. I think there's a lot of people that just kind of just want to do that and just like, I'm just going to buy a booth. It's fine. And then wonder why that it's not as amazing or as connected or get the same treatment, I guess, as someone who does do it multiple times and has that working relationship. I think when we look at a lot of these different booths, they're lacking in flair. And I think 305 brings the flair all day, every day.
I think that was one of the things we did sort of purposely. So we don't have, you know, most of, and well, I can't even say most of, but there are the independent comics sellers, the ones that, you know, like some really good friends of ours, you know, they load up their van and they bring their boxes and they set it up. There's no sign, there's no tablecloth. They're there to do a job. And that's fine because they do so many, they've got that on, you know, they know what they're doing. They come in at this time and it takes them 37 minutes to, you know, and, you know, they've got it like set. Yeah. We do things a little bit differently where 305, Miami 305, it's alive. Miami is a vibe. It's staple. It's it's heritage. It's all of these different things. So if you're going to call yourself 305, then you have to bring that, you have to bring that swag or whatever the kids are calling it these days. You have to bring that because it they want to see those colors, the Miami colors. They want to see the Miami iconography. They want to see, they want to feel connected to that. So, and Leanna, born and raised there, so it's something very close to her as well. And I think we just wanted to make things a little bit different, a little bit more exciting, a little bit more I mean, if you honestly, it's kind of a little bit more feminine, right? Because we've got tablecloths and everything matches, and but
it's just
It's more
a vibe.
OCD than anything.
It's a vibe. It's a 305 comics. Is one of you know how Miami the swag, the chill. It's just like, but but nerdy at the same time. It's just something to know that. Yeah, I live in the 305. I represent the 305. I know I'm not, social media aspect out in the scenes and stuff, but maybe one day it's just knowing that we're there. Miami is where it's at, and we're there for you. You know what I'm saying? The 305. That's how I feel.
Leanna is very, very good. Let me just put this out here. Leanna is very good at peopling. So she's good at meeting people, talking to people, following that food chain, or the ladder to the if she wants something done, she's going to get it done, and she's going to do that with whoever she needs to. Nobody's off limits. Everybody is trying. Their goal is the same. So why not? We're all going to help each other, and that's
in some way.
That's
Yeah. Or like you said, they mimic. You know what? I take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
And then I'm just trying to show that there is other ways of producing something that you love and just trying to entertain it, because we're entertainers, right? Coming to businesses, we're all entertainers in an aspect, right? We're boosting our company. Hey, come see what we got. So it's just something that you have to keep in mind, that it's bring the people in. You get me? Bring the people in. So you just get ideas, and once you
lure them in with pretty lights.
yes, pretty lights.
Ooh,
You're
shiny.
stable. Even if you're on these online platforms and you do these conferences, the conventions and things, still be lively, because you never know who will come up and say, "Man, I heard you. I know who you are.
Right.
I've been following you forever," and that makes your day. Once you feel that, you know that you're making a difference, that you did something, and that's what hard work pays off.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just trying to show that, just take it day by day. You know what I mean? Just get a little idea. But if they want to mimic, go ahead, because that is what we're about.
But that's fine, because you know what? We always say that. We always say that there is so much room in this industry for everybody, because there's no way that 305 is ever going to carry everything everybody ever wants and needs and, collects and whatever. Somebody else is going to have it. So you know what?
Right.
There you go.
Go to this person and this person and this company and this booth and try them over there. And if they don't have it, we want you to find what you're looking for, whether that's with us or whether that's with another company or another whatever. There's millions of people, millions of things to collect, and we're never going to be able. And I won't ever let her be able to sell all of the things people could want or need. But we also work very hard at evolving and adapting and bringing new things. So also, we don't only do comics. Yeah, we call ourselves 305 Comics, but we are collectibles as well, because we collect sports memorabilia. She's a giant Marlins and Dolphins fan. Like, you can't be a Miami girl unless you.
Right.
So these are all things that she's collected. These are all of the things that her passions are, and now my passions. And so we offer all of that where we try to offer a very wide selection of things.
We also get into the category of reviewing our own comics. Like an authorized dealer, but we as collectors, and me understanding the aspect in her art, could see what QC, like quality control, on something that we could grade. We just this comes with time and experience as well.
That was a new program for us this year.
Yes.
Well, the last year, 2024, is we brought on we opened up our cards, our sports cards and TCG cards and whatnot division, and we have we can look at the review them, see it. We don't want you spending money if you're not going to be increasing the value of your item, because that's when you get into the grading and stuff and you start to become that kind of a collector, you don't want to waste money on it. You don't want to spend $80 grading a $5 comic if that's not going to.
And the reason why.
Now, if you want to, I'm not gonna not
right.
take your money, and I'm not gonna not send it. But we're also gonna tell you honestly, is it worth it? It is not worth it, and then let you make that decision. Versus, yes, grade every single thing. We don't believe that.
And we brought on a 30-year veteran in baseball cards, football cards, trading cards, a genius in it, and has been doing very well in the community that we brought on with 305 and part of the cards section. So we definitely take our time to get the quality that we need and the correct things onto 305 Comics and Collectibles for the shows. Yes,
Well,
and that's why we do a lot of card shows as well. That's the card team out there.
And that's the thing. Like we talk about all the time with Year about how there is a way to do this, whether it's selling comics, creating comics, being in the podcast space, that you can do it the right way without selling your soul or robbing the community. And we can all still have fun, still profit, and still make this a thing that we're proud of. And I think like why at least I gravitated to you guys as much as I did, because we started out just hearing each other on Whatnot. Well, no, I gravitated before because I didn't even know what any of y'all looked like. I walked up and didn't know who I was talking to initially on that first Supercon. I'm like, hi, I know I love you, but I don't know who I love. Which one's which? Because, and I felt that from day one. Like, granted, you can always say this is a business. It's all about making money, and I get that. But there has to be some line in the sand where the betterment of the community or the betterment of the person you're working with has to take precedent over making every single penny you possibly can. And I feel like not a lot of retailers have the mindset like you do, that really puts you on a different level, at least in my opinion. I know I might not be the end all be all when it comes to opinions, but on Planet Nerdtooine, that's all that fucking matters. To be honest.
I mean, it's your show, so who am I to disagree?
Disagree with me? No.
Never.
Except when we're working on a cover together.
Oh, yeah. We can go into that.
I asked for, I know
creators
damn
working
well,
with creators is always a hell of a good time.
I know damn well I'm always asking for too much. I know I am. And
but I'm not afraid to tell you that you are, so that's okay.
And I'm not afraid. All right. I understand. But
yeah, right.
Here's a counterpoint. But I think that you guys have something very special when it comes to your vibe and your type of retailer that you are. And I think that the more and more that the law, because this is, I mean, as far as you guys have already come, you're technically a very young company. You know what I mean? There's still so much room for growth. And I think that you started on such a great path that it's just nothing but the breaking of every glass ceiling there is. But let's talk about your upcoming conventions, because I know there's one coming up very soon that is and to be honest with you, I think it's probably one of the bigger ones in Florida, more so than, and besides MegaCon, I think it might be the biggest one in Florida. So Florida Supercon is coming up in what, a month?
No,
it's next weekend.
It's next weekend.
It's
not
next
this coming weekend, the weekend after.
July 17th.
Okay.
July 18th.
18th, 19th, 20th.
18, 19, 20.
Miami Beach Convention Center, also known as our second home.
Booth 815.
Booth 815. And who is going to be your guest at Supercon this year?
Oh, we're having Scott Butler this year. Scott Butler, he was the creator of Croc,
the PlayStation
gaming from, I don't know,
1990
something, like when I graduated high school.
But it has been remastered.
But yes, so they did just release a remastered edition of Croc
this year.
That he also worked on. He also worked on Monopoly Go and the creation of that.
Lead artist.
Zelda,
Marvel games.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
But Monopoly Go,
one of the best things. Not that stuff is not an accomplishment for his career, because
Right.
I absolutely adore him and it's amazing. He's also an actor, and he was the doctor in Agatha All Along. So episode 3,
Yeah.
he was the.
Go check him out.
He was,
Yeah,
he
so
was hauntingly amazing. Like
He's
every
about to die
second
out.
he was on the screen, it was just fantastic, and I can't
He's
wait.
intense.
And
Yeah.
he's a.
But he is
From-
he's such a
I was about to
wonderful-
say from the interactions I've had with him, he's such a really awesome, laid back person.
Awesome.
So if you're in Miami, you said 17th to the 19th.
Yeah. No.
18th, Friday, July 18th, next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 18, 19, and 20th. We'll be there at booth 815. We will, aisle 800. You'll see us, no problem. When we get around, we'll do Instagram photos, so you could check us out there on Instagram, 305comics_Miami.
We're trying to find a big
Yes.
balloon we can put way up into the sky that represents 305. So I'm thinking we need
The
to
world
find
is
like
yours.
a flamingo or something, or just
That could work.
Starface it.
Just
or
look for
something,
the
you know.
flamingo.
Yeah, right.
Get the pool flamingo. Come over and take a dip.
Oh, there.
Hey, that
But
that's
yeah,
got a little
so
catchphrase too.
got it.
Supercon's going to be
I'm bringing it.
crazy. We've got double booths, so we're going to have cards, sports memorabilia. We're going to have Scott doing autographs. We're going to have
Free
some of my stuff there. So some of my art.
And Here Walks Monsters comics.
Here Walks Monsters, of course,
Mhm.
always. And yeah, some great some crafty stuff, and then a ton, and I am not kidding when I say a ton, of slabs. So we are going hard on the graded stuff this year, because we have some bangers.
Yes.
Like,
You've got some big.
So,
9.8 bangers.
Yeah,
from
they've got
vintage to
some
modern. You
big
come over, you'll check it out.
boy
yeah, and
books.
we've got some really great, like Stan Lee signed, graded, authenticated stuff. Just come over and dig, because we're not even doing our wall this year. It's gonna be like
It's beautiful.
that old fashioned hunt through the cases. So it's gonna be it'll be fun, and we'll be there, and
Find the
I don't know,
flamingo.
giving out.
Gonna bring the pool flamingo.
That's a good idea. Well, hopefully somebody makes a flamingo balloon, because
No, I'm gonna bring the flamingo pool.
oh. Yeah, with comics flying all over the
I wish.
place. I'm like, what is she talking about?
Just jump in like mud wrestling,
Oh,
but it
God.
was comics.
She's talking about bringing a pool to our booth.
All
No, I'll
I'll
bring the
say is
flamingo.
that is definitely going to attract some people.
It will.
Just saying. But I appreciate you ladies stopping by.
Thank
I
you.
hope this is only the first of many times we have you guys on the show, because I think we have so much more that we can dive into on so many different levels.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Of everything that
Of
we
course.
do. But it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, speaking with you. And if anyone listening, thank you for hanging around. It's been a long episode, as all of the Planet Nerdtooine episodes tend to be. So if you like interviews, comic book reviews, anything about comics, try giving us a like, share, follow. It does really well for the algorithm. But until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.
Stay nerdy.